Welcome to What the Tech, where we cut through the hype to bring you the news you can actually use. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a massive, secret construction project that's happening right under our noses. So let's kick things off with a question that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. What happens when the most powerful tech companies on the planet decide they don't need our public power grid anymore and just start building their own?
Well, that's the thing. It's not a what-if scenario. It's happening right now, mostly behind the scenes, and it's happening on a scale that's about to completely change our country's energy landscape.
All across the United States, a kind of shadow power grid is rapidly taking shape. From Texas to Ohio to Wyoming, massive private power projects are being built, all designed to feed the absolutely insatiable energy demand of the AI revolution.
Okay, so what is this secret power grid? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the system they're actually building.
It all comes down to a concept called behind-the-meter power. Now, that sounds technical, but in simple terms, it just means a company builds its very own power plant, right there on site. This lets a massive facility like a data center run completely on its own, independent of the local utility grid. And we are talking about an incredible scale here. Just take a look at the GW Ranch project down in Texas. This single data center campus is projected to use more electricity than the entire city of Chicago. And as the developers themselves say, it's going to be completely walled off from the public grid, generating all its own power. And look at who's behind all this. It's the who's who of big tech and big energy. We're talking about Meta, OpenAI, Oracle. Even energy giants like Chevron are getting in on it. They're all pouring billions into building out this new private power infrastructure. But why? Why go to all this trouble and expense? Well, the answer comes down to one single massive problem at the very heart of the AI revolution. This visual really says it all. Connecting a huge data center to the public grid can take years. It's slow, it's tangled in regulations, and a lot of the time our grid just can't handle that much new demand. But if you build your own power plant, you can be up and running in a matter of months. You get to bypass all those constraints. In the race for AI dominance, that kind of speed is a total game changer. A perfect example is what Elon Musk's xAI did. They needed a data center in Memphis running, like yesterday. So they just trucked in dozens of portable gas generators and sidestepped the local utility completely. That single move sent a shockwave through the industry, proving that this kind of speed was actually possible. But, and you knew there was a but, this race for speed comes with some huge hidden costs. There are serious consequences for the environment, for engineering reliability, and for all of us that we really need to talk about. The first big cost is environmental. Because renewables like solar and wind need a grid backup to provide power 24/7, most of these private plants are turning to natural gas. And that means a huge spike in local air pollution and CO2 emissions, which directly gets in the way of climate goals. Yeah, industry researcher Michael Thomas doesn't mince words at all. He calls the climate impact of this shift to private gas power simply catastrophic. And then there's the engineering risk. Can these isolated systems even work as promised? Gas plants are designed to have downtime for maintenance. Running them flat out 24/7, which is what these AI data centers need, is a really risky experiment that could lead to massive power outages. And listen to this. Energy entrepreneur Jigar Shah warns that even with unlimited funds, the tech industry has not figured out how to make these private plants run with the kind of 24/7 reliability that AI demands. It's a puzzle that money alone might not be able to solve. This entire landscape is shifting incredibly fast, which is why it's so important to stay informed. If you're getting value out of this breakdown, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for What the Tech, and definitely let us know what you think in the comments below. Okay, so now let's look at the direct impact this has on our communities. The third big risk really hits close to home, the impact on local communities. To try and attract these massive projects, some states are actually passing laws that bypass local oversight. This means huge gas plants can get approved with very little public input, leaving residents to basically wake up one morning and discover a new industrial power plant has been built in their backyard. And finally, this shadow grid could end up costing you money. Tech giants can easily outbid public utilities for essential gear, And when utilities lose their biggest industrial customers, the financial burden of keeping up the public grid falls on everyone else. And that can mean higher electricity bills for you and me. So, what does all of this actually mean for you? Let's break down the key takeaways and what you should be watching for. This is your news you can use.
Here's how this breaks down. If you're a local resident, it's about staying vigilant. You've got to track permits and demand real data on emissions and noise. For energy professionals, this is a huge wake-up call to adapt or risk losing your biggest clients. And for climate advocates, the fight is for transparency, making sure these private projects have to account for their true environmental impact.
So the real bottom line is this. We are witnessing a fundamental shift. Big tech no longer sees electricity as just a utility service they buy. They now treat it as a core part of their own infrastructure stack, something to be built, owned, and controlled, just like their servers and their code. And this leaves us with the ultimate question. In this global race for AI supremacy, is the need for speed really worth the risk of a fractured, more polluting, and less reliable energy future for everyone else? Thanks for watching.